Okay, now I am honored to introduce someone who's become a remarkable friend and an ally in this community, a brave soul who is a parent at a school that that's mission is all about equity and justice in the world. And she's an educator and a parent at that school, Tamara Paul.
Thanks. Oh, I'm so nervous. Thank you, TC. I'm going to read off my phone because I just developed a new fear, which is that my pages were going to fly away. So I'm going to read this. I'm honored to be here today as a teacher and a Jew and a lesbian and a proud mom. On behalf of my shy but fierce wife and myself, I want to share our family story with all of you and to tell our 7-year-old twins and my students and all trans, gender diverse, queer, and fabulous people here, you are loved and you will never be erased. You can tell a lot about our parenting journey by looking at our Amazon order history. First, there were the books about transracial adoption, raising twins, advocating for Black boys. Then the books on nurturing spirited kids, handling sleep trouble, tummy trouble, tantrums. And then Gus saw her first pair of princess shoes. By age 3, Gus would come home from daycare, strip down, and put on a tutu. By 4, Gus asked for real dresses, not just the dress-up kind, and began wearing them to preschool. A few kids were confused for a few days, since they, like us, had thought Gus was a boy, but Gus persisted, and life went on. One day, when I picked the twins up from preschool, Gus's shirt had gotten wet during the day, and she had to put on her emergency clothes from her cubby, a boxy Batman shirt that had been sitting there for months, since before we understood how Gus wanted to dress. She was in tears, fighting the teacher because she refused to put on the shirt. The dad of a little girl in the class quickly understood what was happening and gave Gus his daughter's pink shirt from her emergency stash. A few months later, Gus flinched when the same little girl, a good friend at this point, said with no malice, "Gus pretends to be a girl." Gus told us that night that she's not pretending. "I am a girl," she announced for the first time. Once she was old enough to understand pronouns, she asked us to use she, her. With each step she took, each lead we followed, her beautiful smile brightened, and she became palpably more confident, comfortable, and joyful. Any hesitation we may have felt, any worry about raising a trans girl, a Black trans girl, a kid who would become an adult statistically more likely to face violence than anyone else, any of that theoretical worry was soothed by her smile. This was not a choice, and it was not a problem to be solved, hers or ours. This was our kid, our daughter, our happy, beautiful girl, and our job was singular and clear. Love the heck out of her. So at 5 years old, it was time for the twins to enter the school they could attend through 8th grade. Shout out to Gordon School, my friends in the front row here. And we enrolled Gus as a girl. The teachers and the administration rallied around us, adjusted bathroom procedures, educated themselves, preparing to embrace this transgender kindergartner and her twin brother, Milo. We were touched, but told them that once they got to know Gus, they would realize this was basically a non-issue. They would be better off preparing to support a child whose exuberance would make sitting still for circle time an impossibility. Because she taught us from day one to love her and follow her lead, by age 5, Gus had no conflict over her transgender identity. Her confidence radiated along with her glittery outfits. The mom of a preschool friend dubbed her twirly girl, and 5-year-old friends who met her as a girl saw nothing else, even when they played dress up and undies inevitably came off. Gus showed no signs of dysphoria. In fact, she exuded euphoria. During these early, relatively conflict-free years of social transition for Gus, her twin Milo would occasionally reveal more complexity in the supporting role. Before falling asleep one night, Milo cautiously let me know that one good friend kept calling Gus he, and that it made Milo feel really sad. "You really love Gussie, don't you?" I asked. And Milo's "she's my sister" said it all. Being twins, they've always vied for airtime, lap space, and prized toys, so we didn't think much when shortly after Gus began to dress in what we call clothes from the girls' side of Target, Milo followed suit. Our little boy was adorable in his leggings, unicorn shirts, and skirts. As cisgender lesbians, we may even have felt some extra pride in our kiddos' disregard for gender norms. From time to time, we would check in with Milo. "Is anyone giving you a hard time about how you dress?" Nope. 5, 6, 7-year-olds just want to have fun. No one seemed to care one bit. This summer, on the way home from camp one day, I asked Milo the usual question: "Is anyone bothering you about how you dress?" This was a new camp for us, and while I knew the staff was fully embracing of our family, believe me, I checked, I wasn't sure how the twins would be perceived by their peers. Milo smiled a cherubic smile and said, "They call me and Gussie sisters." When I inquired a bit more, Milo explained, "I like it. I'm a sister. I use she, her." Even though we should have been prepared for this moment, I'll admit we were thrown. Was Milo just being influenced by a dominant and confident twin sister? Was Milo jealous in some way or seeking our attention or approval? And where was our gender-bending little boy who rocked those glittery leggings like no one else? And how had we missed this? Then we remembered the wisdom of their preschool teacher who told us simply, Gus is the expert on Gus. And what Gus taught us so well, just love her, just follow her lead. And what we learned from our reading, while suicide rates for trans kids are staggering, those rates match their cisgender peers when they're raised in a nurturing environment and loved for who they are. It really doesn't matter why Milo began living as Gus's sister this summer. What matters is that we see Milo for who she is, and we make sure she is loved and nurtured every step of the way. Milo is the expert on Milo. Our little family has been incredibly fortunate. Gus and Milo have an extended family who love them and are committed to using the correct pronouns. They have a grandfather who takes on his conservative friends in debate. They have grandmothers who shop for dresses and sparkly shoes for their beloved grandkids. When I sent my dad a picture of the twins dressed up for Halloween, he replied that Gus was born to wear her pink wig and leotard, and Milo was a natural purple unicorn. Yeah! So as I stand here speaking at a rally for the first time in my life, I remember the legacy of my grandmother, who organized a march for the rights of people living in poverty in Detroit during World War II. The same grandmother who decades later and well into her 90s told her nursing home friends about my lesbian wedding and famously said, "If they don't like it, fuck them." I'm so grateful for this legacy, especially now, because it leaves me with no question about what to do next. Trans people, I will fight for you. My wife will fight for you. Gus and Milo's grandparents and teachers and friends' parents will fight for you. My 7-year-olds are spending these formative years in blissful ignorance of hateful politicians who want to erase their identities, but we know those days are numbered. And we know the vast majority of trans and genderqueer kids do not get to grow up in such a bubble. My middle school students are scared and confused by what they hear on the news. They know they're loved, but at a certain point, they know that's not enough. So we vote, we speak out, we donate, we listen, we see you. We fight for your right to live your authentic lives, to be addressed with dignity, to radiate confidence, to know that you were born perfect and you are perfect still. You are indelible and you will never be erased. you.